Welcome to a new video in my channel, and today I want to show you this AllPowers S700 power station that I received from AllPowers shortly after I made a couple of videos of my Blue Yeti. And I choose this product because it is very similar to the power station I have already. It's sort of like the similar size and the similar capacity, well, with some differences. So this power station is one of their obviously smaller power station, but they have even smaller power stations as well. And their S series are, as far as I can understand, it's more like the older series of power station models, because these use lithium ion batteries instead of the lithium phosphate batteries that are a little bit more common nowadays in these power stations. It has a 700 watt AC output. It has two outputs in, well, these are European models, so this is the two, European plug. But it also supports the usual DC outputs that we can see on the sides. I'm going to bring you closer, and also a couple of lights, and then input for solar charging, and you can see a solar panel here, and also output for car cigarette lighters, and DC output for if you want to power anything from 12 volts. So as I said, 700 watts here. The other big thing is obviously the battery capacity. So it has a 606 watt hour lithium ion battery inside. So I think in this video I'm going to do a quick demonstration of this unit based on, let's say, my 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks experience of owning this unit. And well, because I have a Blue Yeti, I also going to do a comparison, mostly because that's the only power station I have, so I think I don't really have a lot of else to compare to it. But yeah, that's what we are going to cover in this video. So first of all, let me cover the basics in terms of the input and the outputs. So if I look at the face of this one, the obvious ones are the AC outputs, and then you can see two plugs here, well, two European plugs, and from these plugs we can draw 240 volts, so this is a European model, and then 700 watts each. And there it has a surge capacity of 1400 watts. And what they mention in the document is that it is for resistive loads, so like heaters and that sort of stuff, but also for motors. I was quite excited about this, motor option, because I have a couple of power tools, and I was trying with all of them, but to be honest, there isn't really much in the 700 watt range. So either you have smaller hand tools that are probably less powerful, like a jigsaw or an orbital sander, which can run 700 watt easily, or if you have bigger things like a skill saw or a metal band saw or a hammer drill, those would start easily because of the the surge mode. But once you start really using them, they would most likely draw more than 700 watts. So sooner or later it will cut out anyway. So I don't think it can be used for anything like the less smaller hand tools. So this is really marketed, and I think it's designed for like the typical camp use, where you have smaller things, maybe a smaller electric heaters, like a small kettle, which doesn't draw like not the household ones, because they usually like 2 kilowatts or something similar. But what they also mentioned in the documentation is like like a TV, a smaller fridge, charging electronic devices, laptops, drones, phones, fans, or audio systems, because they would happily run from all of these. And coupled with this has a 606 watt hour battery, which I think it's a it's a fairly big battery, because I was using it mostly for light loads for the last couple of weeks. For example, in the weekend I was out in my holiday home, and I was using my laptop for a couple of hours, and I didn't bother to plug it in, so I just brought this along, and I actually used the USB-C charging to charge my laptop or keep it running. And I was using the laptop for a couple of hours, and I used like 1% of the capacity, so it really feels a lot, I have to say. And also, just to mention some of the things that they show, what you can use 600 watt hours for. So you can charge a phone 100 times. You can run like a smaller kettle, 120 watts. I mean, that's a really small like car kettle, so that's 4 hours. A 100 watt light bulb for 52 hours. like a fan for 10 hours. And I don't know if you can get it in the shot, but I have a light string here, which is, I think it has like 20 LED bulbs for garden lights. And when I plug this one in here, it says that it can run this for like 17 hours. And, 20 watts. So that was 20 watts for 20 watts for 20 lights. That's a lot. And you can run like a 30 watt amp for sound for like 17, 18 hours. So there is a lot of juice in this one. So that's the capacity and the AC one. On the outer output side, you have two lamps. And, again, just for camping reasons, so you can just turn them on and off individually. And then on the side you have all the DC outputs. Well, not just outputs, because you have 3 USB which can all deliver 5 volts and 3 amps, and there is also USB-C outputs which can deliver 100 watt PD. So that's, again, running a laptop without any issues. But that USB-C can also be used for charging. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. And there is also DC jacks, 2 DC jacks here that can deliver 12 volts at 5 amps. So again, 100 watt capacity or 100 watt power there. The only thing I don't like this is that it's not using the standard 2.5, I think it's a 2.5 millimeter, the most common jack sizes. It's something smaller. So yeah, you most probably need some sort of adapter, or you need a special cable. And if I flip this around, on the other side we have a cigarette lighter connection, and we have the inputs. So let's talk about the inputs now. We have 2 inputs. One is an Anderson connector, so that's where your solar panel connects to, and you also have another DC plug, which is the different size from the AC output, from the DC output, and that's for a power brick. And actually, I think I'm going to include a picture of a power brick, because I left it in the car from the weekend. And so in order to charge this, you need this external power brick. It's not built into the unit, so probably they did this to save space, because once you do camping, probably you're not going to charge it from mains, so at least you don't have to carry the mains brick around. And I talked about the output capabilities, so let's talk about the charging. So it can charge about 100 watts maximum from the solar panel. So that takes about 5 or 6 hours to fully charge the batteries if they are completely flat. And it also takes slightly more than 100 watts from the built-in charger, so 110, 112. So that, again, roughly 5 or 6 hours to fully charge the battery. So it's not going to charge very quickly, so you definitely have to plan ahead what you are going to do with this unit. And as I said, you can also use the USB-C here for charging, so that can charge at about 60 watts. So again, if you have a USB-C charger, you don't have to charge the unit very quickly if you have time, like overnight. Then if you have a USB-C charger, like a good PD charger, then you don't have to carry the power brick. You can just use that one. But again, from that USB-C alone, it would be about 10 hours. But you can also use the DC input here, so either the solar panel or the power brick and the USB-C, and that can bring down the charge to around 3 or 4 hours. So that would be 100 watt here on the DC and another 60 on the USB-C. So I already mentioned all the connections that you have on the front and the side, well, both sides. There is nothing on the back, so I'm not going to show you that. Of course, there are some vents and everything just to keep the unit cool. But on the front, we have all the controls. So you have seen the controls for the 2 lights. So you just, it's just a simple, button. You press it, the light comes on, you press it again, and you have 2 lights that you can operate individually. And you have 3 buttons. So fairly easy. There is a button which turns on all the DC outputs, so the outputs that are here. There is another button which turns on the AC, but for some reason you have to press and hold this one. And so you do it for like 5 seconds. And when you turn it on, the fan comes on, and it's going to stay on for about 10 seconds and it's going to switch off. But now the AC and the DC is on. And by the way, on the screen, you are going to see like things for indications that the AC and the DC is on. Now, so the fan is now off, and obviously depending on the load, the fan is going to come on from time to time. And you have the first button here, well, the first one from the left, it's more like a wake up button, which turns the screen on. But if you press it for long enough, that turns on the Bluetooth, so you can access the device through a mobile app, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And using the main screen is very, very easy, because you have like 3 main displays. So you have the central display, which is going to show you the state of charge. So that's, you see a battery symbol and under it a percentage one. Probably the only thing I don't like about this one is that the percentages, which is, I mean, arguably it's the most important information, that's shown with a smaller font. And then on the left there is a remaining time, or a countdown time, and that just shows you how much how long it will take the battery to run completely flat. And obviously that changes and that fluctuates a lot based on the load. And funnily, if you don't connect anything, so that if there is no load, it's still going to show you some numbers, so like, you know, 30 days or something like that. But of course that would get reduced as soon as you start using it. And on the left side you have another number which shows you either how much you are using in terms of watts, or how much you are charging it when you are charging the device. And of course you have a couple of things, like, you know, when it shows for this number whether it's in and out, so it doesn't have a separate number for the watts coming in or going out, so it's just one number, and it shows like either in or out. And then you have a couple of icons wherever the Bluetooth is on, the AC and the DC is on. So the screen is fairly simple, and of course, as I said, you can just push this button if the screen goes off, just to wake up again, so you can just easily see what's going on. And again, you can turn the DC on and off using the DC button, and then again AC turns on and off by long pressing the AC button. And again, long pressing the first button toggles the Bluetooth mode. Let me tell you a couple of quirks about this unit that I noticed while I was using it. Also, I didn't mention, but when you buy this, all you get in the box is this unit and the power brick, and that's it. And then we are going to see what comes with the solar panel that you purchase separately. So one thing is that I mentioned that the USB-C is an in and out, and it's a little bit funny, because if the unit is completely switched off, you can just plug anything into the USB-C, and it will try charge from it. And so what happened is I plugged my laptop in, but the unit was completely off. And then in that case, the USB-C thinks that I plugged in something that can charge this unit. So actually my laptop started charging the power station. So I had to unplug it and turn the DC on, and I plugged the battery in, and now the USB-C was in output mode. So then this unit can charge my laptop. So that was a little bit funny. Probably another small thing which actually I think it makes a difference is that I noticed that even though if the DC is on or the AC is on, if there is no load, so if you just accidentally leave the output switched on, it draws very little power from the battery. So there is very little parasitic consumers in this unit. So I think I had the DC on for 8 hours and it was consuming 1% of the battery, and then so that was the DC. And when I had the AC on for 8 hours or 10 hours, again it was using 2% of the battery. So it's almost negligible, which is good. And also if you keep the Bluetooth on, I don't think it uses noticeable amount of battery, and it doesn't turn off automatically. So if you want to access this unit because it's hidden away, then you can just leave the Bluetooth on and it will stay on, well, as long as there is charge in the battery. Okay, let me compare these two units together. So again, this is the AllPowers S700 and this is my Bluetti EB3A. And this is not the best comparison to do, because actually AllPowers have a unit which is called, I think, well, R600, but I'm going to link in a picture, which is almost a perfect match for the Bluetti one. A perfect match as in almost all the features are the same. Some of the features are a little bit better than the Bluetti, and it's about the same price range. It looks the same, and it is targeted for the same type of users. But the reason I thought that these two units still compares, because this has a 600 watt output, so this has a 700 watt output. So I don't think that the two units would be able to be used in vastly different scenarios, because the 100 watt is not going to make any difference. So it's mostly like the camp type of business when you have to power smaller loads. But then again, the big difference is that this has 606 watt hours of battery. This has, what is it, 260, yeah, 268. So this has pretty much like twice the capacity, although it's almost the same size. So you can see the the width and the height, and if you look at sideways, again, it's maybe a little bit taller, a little bit skinnier, but it's pretty much the same thing. And in terms of weight, they're pretty much the same as well. And again, I would say the another big difference is how you can charge it, because this unit charges, I would say in general, 100 watts max, and this can charge more than 200 watts. So twice the charging speed for half the size battery. So this is a very good unit where you have to just quickly juice up something and you have to pick it up and then run. For this one, with the standard brick charge, where it takes about 5 or 6 hours to completely charge the batteries, you really have to plan ahead and then make sure that it is plugged in overnight, so it has a full charge by the time you need to go on to do your business. So overall, I'm quite happy that I got this unit, because I feel that the two are comparable. And again, I was using these mainly for these smaller tasks. Again, like charging batteries when running my laptop when I was too lazy to get a power brick, or I wanted to use my laptop in a place where the mains power wasn't available nearby. And also I was working in the attic, so I would bring these units up in the attic just to use the battery, to use again a jigsaw, and just to give me general light, so I can work in the in the dark attic. I did mention at the beginning of the video that this has used these lithium-ion batteries, and lithium-ion batteries are a little bit more sensitive than the lithium-ion phosphate that I used in some other power stations, and also they are used in the newer series, so in the R series of all power stations. So I think in general use, like the kind of sort of like summer and recreational use, I don't think it really makes any difference. It's really about the winter time, when if you would operate this unit in freezing conditions, so sub-zero temperatures, then you should really store it, let's say, in a box where it can keep itself warm. Just by using the power, the inverters charging it, it's going to generate enough heat for the unit to keep itself warm. So it just shouldn't be exposed to the elements in the winter time. And also, if you're planning to store it in the long term, then probably store it between 20 and 80% state of charge, because that's the the best for the batteries. Other than that, I don't really have any reservations about if you should use this differently, because it has all the safety features. So if you want to draw too much power, it's going to shut itself down. If you leave the outputs on and you connect a load and you're going to leave it unattended, once the battery reaches 10% state of charge, it's going to automatically turn off the AC side, and at 5% is also going to turn off the DC side. So even if it's completely turned off, there will be still charge left in the power station. I mean, it's just like an electric car, so that uses lithium-ion batteries as well, and the circuitry inside manages this battery life. You just have to remember these couple of rules. So I have a footage of using the solar panel, so you can see how this is all set up. I mean, it's pretty much the same as any other solar panel. So there is a Velcro strap on the side, and then you can just unfold it like this, and on the back you have some feet here as well, so you can just prop it up, and then on the back there is a pouch itself. So this is where all the cables and everything is stored. And this comes with a couple of accessories. So by default, the solar panels has MC4 connectors, and then there is a lead also provided which converts the MC4 into this Anderson connector, which plugs to the side of the power station. There is also another lead which again converts the MC4 into a barrel jack, and you have a couple of adapters provided as well. So if you want to power any DC accessories, then you would use that. But to be honest, I think I'm going to keep permanently connected to this Anderson connector, because I would most probably only charge this power station with this solar panel. So everything is nicely packaged, and when you don't need that, you can just zip the whole thing away and yeah, it works. And in terms of the, the use of the solar panel, I mean, you just plug it in, you orient it to the sun, use these feet to prop it up, and then, it works. And maybe every hour you can just realign the solar panels so they face the sun, the most perfectly as possible. I mean, in a good summer, in a good sun, I was easily getting like 80 watts, and even if the weather was shady, I was getting about like 30. So if the weather was overcast, I was getting like 30-40 watts. So I don't think it's a bad performance from the solar panel. The fact that you need 5 or 6 hours to fully charge your batteries means that you need like a really good day to fully charge an empty power station. So this is why I would say that you have to plan ahead with this one. It's good for a day trip when you have mains power and you can just fully charge it for 5 and 6 hours. But for a solar panel, you might not be able to charge it if you plan to use the full capacity of the battery. Okay, this is the following day. I wanted to record this segment for the mobile app. So I have my phone here and I have the AllPowers mobile app, which you can download from either the Android or the iOS application store. And when you install it, you can register an account for yourself, but you can just straight away add your AllPowers power station. And as you can see here, the Bluetooth LED is on, which means that the Bluetooth radio is on. So you have the option here to add either a Bluetooth device, which is this one, or a Wi-Fi device, which would be one of the bigger models. So I'm just going to add the Bluetooth, and then we just wait and the S700 appears, and then we can connect to it. Well, the downside that I see with this application, it doesn't remember the device. So every time I start, I have to do these 2 clicks to add the device. I can't just straight connect to it, but hopefully that will get fixed in, let's say, in the next software update. And I mean, the screen is very simple. It doesn't have a lot of information. You can see the state of charge. Now the percentage is the biggest number here, so that's easy to see. And you can see the remaining time. So, well, nothing is really connected. And I think this is sort of like the standard remaining time, like 14 days, which I mean, it just feels a little bit strange, because I'm pretty sure that the battery is going to last more than 40 days if nothing is connected. So maybe you should really just not say anything about that. And you can see that there is 0 input power and 0 output power. So let me just connect my phone so we can see some numbers. And I can use this to turn the DC on, and when my phone is 87%, so it's not going to charge a lot, but you can see now it's charging at 6 watts, and the remaining time has been recalculated, so it can charge this phone for 2 more days at this rate. And that's it. So you can turn on the AC here, and the AC comes on. You can hear the fan, and you can also turn on the LED. And you can change whether you want 50 Hertz or 60 Hertz for the AC. And that's pretty much it. In the settings, we don't really find anything. You can just rename the device. And yeah, but that's it. There are no settings. There are no additional functions. It's literally just monitoring the inputs and the output. At least here, you have a separate value for the input watts and the output watts. On this small screen, you just only have one. And yeah, that's it. It works. And as I said, if you leave the Bluetooth on, and if you're not using, it will still be on. It won't switch off. So I think that makes it easy if you want to use it from your phone. So that was my review of this AllPowers S700 power station with the matching 100 watt solar panels. If you like any of these products, I'm going to leave purchasing links in the video description. But that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.